And Josh, as you're coming up here, I'm going to ask you to pick a question out of this bowl and then have a seat next to me. There's a microphone on your chair. And I will read the question for you. Have a seat. Okay, when there's good and bad in a policy or a bill, how do you decide whether to vote or implement it?
That makes me think of the budget. And I will tell you, my commitment to you is that I will not vote for deficit spending. I'm not going to vote for continued resolutions. I'm not going to vote for, I'm a balanced budget candidate. So I would embrace a shutdown. I'll tell you something a little different about me than other candidates. I would push to overturn a 2019 law that pays furloughed federal employees. I'm a CPA, it's a little different outlook. But I think we've got to balance the budget by getting to a point where the shutdowns don't hurt us. When they don't hurt us financially, I would put in place a trigger law, 15 to 25% decrease in our discretionary. This is just all business, isn't it? I sound like a CPA. This is riveting, isn't it riveting? No, but really, I look at the balancing the budget as being a huge issue for our country. I'm running right now to help us with this. I'm confident that I can help us with this. 99 senators, I have to knock on the doors of and persuade them to come to our side. I'm not going to compromise our core values. I don't think there's a candidate in this race that is more socially and fiscally conservative than I am. I really don't. But we have to persuade 99 other senators to get on board, which will take some miracles at times. But I believe in miracles, and we've got to have faith to do it. It's going to take a lot of work. 12 years straight of putting my whole soul into it. That's what I would commit to you.
All right.
Answer the question?
Right. We have a lot of materials from all of the candidates telling us about your qualifications. Can you tell us something, tell this audience here something of a personal nature, a personal story about yourself that would help us get to know Josh Randall better?
Sure. I'm persistent. I keep at it. I've been in oil and gas as an oil and gas accounting, revenue accounting manager. There have been layoffs. We've moved in the last 10 years. We've been in 5 different states, and we've bought 5 different houses. And I will tell you, I don't lose my faith. I don't get down about it. I keep at it. I told St. George last time I came down here that I went on 500 dates until I was 31 years old with 350 different women before I found my wife. I will tell you, I keep at it. I'm persistent. I will do everything. I'll give everything I have to persuade senators to do these things that will help save our country.
Only a CPA keeps track of that. So can you tell us, when was the last time you personally shopped at a Walmart, a Target, or a Costco? Just
Costco, I don't have a membership. And the other one was Walmart.
Or Target.
And Target. Target's been probably 2 months.
Right.
I remember when we bought there, and Walmart was probably last week.
Okay, and
Or grocery order today, or yesterday.
Here's where I'm going with that question. Seems like we have an administration that doesn't go shopping because we see the inflation that's going on in our budgets. What would you do if you were elected to the Senate to help get the inflation under control and get our budget? You talked about the budget, but how would we get inflation under control? How do we get the budget under control here?
Well, once we get to a point where we're not afraid of the shutdowns, we have to address what's going on with our Federal Reserve. Our Federal Reserve is adding to our money supply. So that's a problem. And I do have a unique qualification to look at this. I'll tell you, I've studied this out in depth. The Federal Reserve, our entitlement programs need to change. I have a plan to change our Social Security and Medicare. They're going to be privatized. I have a plan to move our Medicaid and our food stamps back to the states. I'm absolutely convinced that we have to take these steps. And when we do it, it's going to fuel production in this country. Everything I do in this country, in the Senate, is based on we have to get production up, federal spending and money supply under control. We will never tax our way out of unbridled spending. Never. It's got to be, and we got to practice what we preach. My wife would tell you I practice what I preach on this. A CPA with 6 kids under the age of 10, we practice what we preach. And we've got to have someone who does that. If you don't practice what you preach, you're not going to persuade other people. So
Okay, so as a CPA, realistically, how long would it take to balance the budget? Could you do it
It's
in
gonna
one
take,
term?
it's gonna take 60 or 70 years to pay off the national debt. That's what it's gonna take us to do, realistically. Balancing the budget, we can do that almost immediately. And it is a combination of embracing a shutdown and persuading people quickly to make some changes. And I can tell you, I can work with Mike Lee to make those changes. There are people in the Senate who want to take these steps. They don't have a ton of financial. We got Ron Johnson as a CPA, and we got a CPA out of Wyoming. There are people who want to take the steps, and they need somebody on the Senate floor who is going to be able to help guide that conversation. But we can balance the budget very quickly. But we need to guide that conversation on the Senate floor, not just with people we hire. It is good to have somebody in the room who could help guide that conversation.
So in your opinion, who is the best president that we've had and why?
That's a tough question. I mean, I like various presidents. I think of Abraham Lincoln as being persistent, somebody who knew the certain things he stood for and kept at it. He ran for president, I think, 3 or 4 times. He came from, I want to say that he was adopted as a little child, or I can't remember. He came from some pretty tough circumstances. Skinny kid, kind of sickly, overcame a lot. I like Abraham Lincoln.
All right, so it's time for a closing, so we'll let you make the closing statement.
I'm a convention-only candidate. I believe in it. I believe in you guys. I am certain that you can pick our next senator, April 27th. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. All right, our next candidate is Brian Jenkins.